Alright, hey guys, remember CCG back with new videos. This is my Cyber Dragon deck profile for July 2022. Yeah, we can just get started here. So here I run one copy of Yugioh. Yugioh is just the kaiju for the deck. It's a light machine, so it's perfect, it's searchable, as well as being able to use it as a Chimera tech target in case you need to remove one of your opponent's monsters that just is difficult to get over. It still gives your opponent a monster, so you're able to special summon Cyber Dragon. So it's great for that, and you can just easily remove it with Fortress Dragon. So it's a great card to include, and it's definitely a one of. 3 Cyber Dragon is, it's a must. It's the star of the deck. 2 Galaxy Soldier. Galaxy Soldier is great just because it lets you send one other light monster from your hand to the grave to special summon itself out, and it lets you get another Galaxy Soldier out. And you can use that Galaxy Soldier's effect in order to summon itself again, if you choose to do so, as the only effect that is once per turn is the adding 1 Galaxy monster from the deck to the hand. So it's perfect for that, for just being able to special summon these 2 out, which it's an easy Cyber Dragon Nova into Infinity. And using this card also combos well with Hertz. So it's great to see here. Here we have one Cyber Deck Chimera. Chimera is great because it lets you search out a Power Bond. The only thing about it is that you do have to discard a spell or trap, so you have to be careful about that. The other thing about this is that you're also able to use monsters from your grave as fusion material by banishing them if you have Cyber Dark Chimera in the grave. So that's great just because you can keep more monsters on your field, and you can just use up the resources that are in your grave. 3 Ash Blossom, because Ash Blossom is just a great generic negate, and yeah, having 3 copies is a must. 3 Cores is definitely a must as well. Cyber Dragon Core is probably the best card in the deck, or at least one of the best cards, just because Core is able, on summon, it can add a Cyber Spell or Trap, and usually you're going to go for the Cyber Emergency. But if you need to go for a fusion, you can get the Cyber Dark Realm or the Cyber Load Fusion, depending on what you need. But typically you're going to go for the Cyber Emergency, and this is a great machine duplication target. As well as being able, if your opponent controls a monster, you can banish this card from the grave and special summon 1 Cyber Dragon from your deck. So that's extremely useful to see here. And this is typically going to be used if you're going second, or if it's like a future turn after they destroyed your board or something, and you have this card in your grave. It gives you a play to go after. So yeah, just a really good card, and one that you definitely want to include 3 copies of. 2 Nasher, just because Nasher, he can special summon itself out by discarding another monster from your hand, and usually you're gonna want to discard like Cyber Dragon or Hertz. Typically, if you already have a Cyber Dragon in your grave, then you just want to discard the Hertz just so you can search out another Cyber Dragon. But being able to use Nash's effect to discard Cyber Dragon, then you can use the effect to special summon a Cyber Dragon from your grave, so you can just bring back the Cyber Dragon you discarded. Or if you already had one and use Hertz, you can just use Hertz, search one out, and then you can bring back the Cyber Dragon that was already in the grave. So having 2 copies of this is great. And yeah, this is a great target for machine duplication as well. Not as great as Cyber Dragon Core, but it is one to include. So it's pretty good. That's why machine duplication is really good in the stack, just because there's multiple targets. Here we have 2 DD Crow. DD Crow is really great in this meta right now, just because of with the whole branded engine, and using you can use this against branded and red just because it has to target a card. And for people that still play DP and you're smart about how you target it, then you can actually use this to get rid of DP. So it's really good at DD Crow, and it's just a good hand trap. But again, if you prefer a different hand trap, maybe you want to have a Ghost Bow or something else, then yeah, just include that and switch out the Crows. Or maybe you just want to include one of the cards that I have in the side deck. That's great too if you want to do that. Here we have 3 Cyber Dragon Hertz. So Cyber Dragon Hertz, it's great because when it's special summoned, you can make this card become level 5. So usually if you have Core in the grave and you banish it in order to special summon Hertz, Hertz becomes a 5. So it makes it easier to go into rank 5 play. But Hertz also, when it's sent to the grave, so this is from anywhere in anywhere from like the field, the hand, or the deck. As long as it goes to the grave, it lets you add 1 other Cyber Dragon from your deck or grave to your hand, which is great. As these cards become recognized as Cyber Dragon when they are in the grave, so it's perfect for that. And here, 1 Lightning Storm. Lightning Storm, if you're going second, it's just great to have removal. Triple Tactics, it's triple tactics. A lot of people are playing monster effects during your turn, so being able to benefit from it is great. And depending on what you need, drawing 2, taking control, or choosing to remove 1 card from your opponent's hand, It's just a really good card to include, and it's always going to be helpful just because people always have hand traps. And this deck can sometimes like be kind of hit by like an Ash or something. So when you're like using Cyber Emergency, or you know, so it's great to just have triple tactics just in order to have some sort of benefit from it. Ref System is cool, just because you're able to special summon one Cyber Dragon from your hand or grave. It cannot be destroyed by card effects. So usually these cards are broken in these type of decks. The only thing is with Cyber Dragon, none of the fusion monsters have the name Cyber Dragon in it, so you can't really use it for that. It's just mainly for it's not Cyber Dragon monster either. It's just special summoning a Cyber Dragon. So usually it's gonna be these, or if they're in the grave, these count as well. So yeah, that's why you just want to have one copy of it. Power Bond, because you want to double your attack and it makes it easier to finish your opponent. Obviously you're going to take the damage, but usually when you use Power Bond, it's because you're planning on winning that turn. Then 3 Cyber Emergency. This card is great in the stack because you're able to add a Light Machine monster. And yeah, and if they negate this, you can discard a card to add this back. Obviously it depends on what you have in your hand, but if you choose to do so, that works too. But being able to search out a Light Machine monster is great and can usually help whatever you need in your hand right now. This can kind of get it out for you. And then here we have 3 Machine Duplication. Machine Duplication, as I said previously, is just really good just because you're able to get 2 Cyber Dragon out easily, and being able to do that just to go into Nova and Infinity, it's definitely a three of in this deck as well. Since there's multiple targets, not just Core, you can use Nasher, you can use Hertz, so having 3 copies of this is just essential. Monster Reborn, just to be able to bring back an opponent, bring back one of your monsters or your opponents, but you know, usually this is going to be done if you don't have a way of getting out the second Cyber Dragon from your grave. You can do this in order to go for another second Exceed play. This is also a great discard in case you need it for the Cyber Dark Chimera. Cyber Repair Plant. So Cyber Repair Plant is great just because it lets you add 1 Light Machine from your deck to your hand. It also lets you target 1 Light Machine monster in your grave, shuffle that target into the deck, but usually you're going to use the first effect. And that's of course if you have a Cyber Dragon in your grave. But yeah, this card's pretty useful, just being able to search out a Light Machine monster. You can kind of get what you need, and if you don't really need anything specific, then you can always use this for the Cyber Dark Chimera in order to get your Power Bond. Caught by the Grave, it's self-explanatory. You know, there's a lot of hand traps that kind of impact this deck in annoying ways. Ash is one of them, and Called by the Grave helps with that. Cyberload Fusion, you're going to be able, you're going to want a fusion summon. So these are the only 2 fusion cards you're going to be using here. Of course, if you want to focus your deck more on fusion summoning, then you can add more. It just shows that I thought that these were fine just because with Cyber Dragon Core I was able to search out Cyber Load Fusion, or if I wanted the Power Bond I could search out the Cyber Dark Realm. So I just decided that it was fine just to include 2 of these, but again, it's whatever you want. Usually my play is to go with the Infinity. So that's not, you know, it's not essential for me to have these fusion monsters, but I usually can get them out easily either way. But yeah, so Cyberload Fusion is great for this, just being able to fusion summon using monsters from the field and or face up banished cards. So this is pretty cool just because it kind of synergizes well with the Cyber Dark Chimera, because Cyber Dark Chimera lets you banish monsters from your grave. So let's say you use Power Bond to banish, you know, a few monsters in your grave in order to summon whatever, like Chimera Tech Rampage Dragon. Then you can use Cyberload Fusion to use the face-up banished cards as fusion material. And here we have Cyber Dark Realm. So Cyber Dark Realm is just this is your way to getting into Chimera, and it lets you normal summon the Chimera. And of course, it's also searchable through the Cyber Dragon Core. So it's what kind of makes the whole thing work. Yeah, and then 3 Imperm because it's perfect. Infinity's in the art, and it's obviously it's a monster negate. So having 3 copies of this is really great, and I think it just fits the theme. So definitely worth having. Evenly matched. I thought this card was useful. Of course, including only 1 copy may seem like inconsistent for you guys. So you guys can play around with the ratios. Maybe you want to, you know, you can drop. Maybe you want to drop the 2 crows in order to have 3 evenly matched, or whatever you want to do with the deck. It's all up to you. But this is what I felt worked for me. When I saw it, and yeah, just being able to use this like as a safeguard. I'm gonna be doing test hands to kind of show you guys. I had a test hand where this actually worked pretty well, and yeah, so I like having 1 copy, but it's obviously up to you. Overflow, Cybernetic Overflow is great, just because it lets you banish Cyber Dragons with different levels from your hand, face up, field, and their grave, and destroy an equal number of cards your opponent controls. So yeah, use this to pop a bunch of your opponent's cards, And if this card in the field is destroyed by a card effect, you can add a cyber spell trap from your deck to your hand. So the obvious synergy with this is that you can use Chimeretic Rampage Dragon to target your own Cybernetic Overflow if you choose to do so, because you can just set this card and then Fusion Summon Overflow. Fusion Summon Rampage Dragon and then Rampage Dragon destroy Overflow in order to add a Cyber Spell or Trap. So that's up to you. If you really need to search out a specific spell or trap and that's your way of doing so, then that works as well. But I like having this as a form of protection, being able to use this to just pop a bunch of cards, and as well as having them face up banish in order to use for Cyber Load Fusion. Alright guys, so before we go to the extra deck, if you're enjoying the video and want to support the channel, there's a link in the description down below. It takes you to TCG Player. You can purchase cards there and it helps the channel quite a bit. So yeah, let's just get started here with the extra deck. So here we have Cyber End Dragon. So Cyber End Dragon is just 4,000 with the power bond. It could be 8k and it has piercing, so really good. Mega Fleet in order to just remove your opponent's monsters in the extra monster zone. So for big problematic cards that they place in there, this is great as a removal. Cyber Twin Dragon is just a strong monster that can attack twice, and yeah, I think it's pretty solid. Chimeretic Fortress Dragon, it's a machine removal. This is great too for the Yugioh. Chimeretic Rampage Dragon. So this card is really useful just because when it's Fusion Summon, it can target spells and traps up to the number of material used and destroys them. So this works as spell and trap destruction. And I told you about the Cybernetic Overflow synergy. And then you can also use this to send up to 2 Light Machine monsters from your deck to the grave, and it gains an additional attack during each battle phase's turn. So you can use it to just drop 2, and then he could attack 3 times. And usually your targets for that can be like the Hurts, because Hurts, when it's sent to the grave, it lets you add another Cyber Dragon monster from your deck or grave to your hand. And then you can also, if you need to just set it up for next turn, you can just put Core in there in case your opponent has a monster next turn. You can just banish special summon a Cyber Dragon monster. So it just gives you some potential plays, as well as using this to play around with numbers. You can use this to make sure you have a Core, a Nasher, and then a Cyber Dragon in there, and that's for the Cybernetic Overflow. And then of course the Zeus, because you do have a lot of exceeds, and if you're attacking, going to Zeus, and you can easily build up materials with infinity, as you can just take your opponent's face up attack position monsters. So really great to just build up materials in order to get Zeus here with quite a bit of materials. 2 infinity, of course, because it's an Omni Negate. Very powerful. 2 Nova, because Nova lets you special summon a Cyber Dragon from your grave. And it's also, if it gets destroyed, it lets you special summon a Machine Fusion monster. So really strong card here. And Pleiades is one that I run just because it serves as a bounce. And yeah, just a really good card to see here. I have 1 Seeger just because Seeger does serve as a way to just boost up your monster in case it's going to be destroyed. It's just a form of protection. And here we have Almirage, because you do need to sometimes get rid of your Core, your Nasher, whatever you normal summoned from these 3. And then that's usually what you're going to want to remove in order so that when you have Nova out, you have a target, so that when you discard or when you detach Cyber Dragon as a material, you're able to just then target out your Cyber Dragon instead of the card that was in the grave. But in order to use that effect, you do need to have a card that has Cyber Dragon in the name. So usually these are going to be the targets for that. So that's usually why you want to go for the Almirage. And then Anima, just because Anima, you do have a decent amount of level 1s, Hurts at Nasher. And sometimes people aren't careful with their zone placement. So being able to use this, just take a free monster. It's just great. So that's pretty much it for the extra deck. Now here's the side deck. So these are cards that I played around with that you might want to include. It's all up to you, like what cards you want to use here. But yeah, so Cyber Dragon Veer. I've seen a few people include this card. I decided not to run it. But basically, it's just, if you want to get it out, it's just another name, Cyber Dragon name, that you can have out on the field. You can use this for like the Cyber Load Fusion or your Power Bond. The only thing is I didn't really like it, or the level 4 was also kind of awkward. But this also gives you another target, another potential level for the Cybernetic Overflow. So something to consider, but personally it wasn't my thing. Espinado, some people are including this because you can go with the whole destruction thing. Decided not to run it personally, but if you want to look into that, then go for it. Light Charmer, in case you want to steal your opponent's light monster, and then if you are going to do this and you want to have a way to, you're going to want to have a monster to link climb to. So usually a unicorn or something. This is great for that. Link Haribo, it's just another monster if you want to include instead of the Anima. Personally, I prefer the anima just because I think it's funny when sometimes they're not careful about their zone placement. You can just take a really strong monster for nothing. And yeah, but Linkuriboh is another great option. Another Lightning Storm because you never know. There's a lot of Mystic Minds and Spell Trap focused meta, and being able to destroy monsters is great as well, especially if you're going second. So having 2 of those is great. Harpy for the same thing that I kind of listed. 2 triple tactics. If you want to increase the consistency of certain cards, you can choose. That's why you can play around with the ratios. Maybe you don't like evenly match as much, or maybe you don't like the DD Crow. Then you can like bump up the triple tactics into 2 or 3 copies, and then Power Bond if you want to include more of those copies. Maybe you want to search it out. Maybe you don't want to rely on searching it out as much, and you just want to have it in your hand. Then yeah, you can go for the Power Bond like that. Another Cyberload Fusion, again, just for consistency. If you want to make it more fusion based, then you can do that. And then another Evenly Match if you choose to do so. Just have another copy. Again, play around with the ratios if you want, whatever you want to see more consistently. But this kind of worked out for me. So you guys can just see, what works for you, works for you. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the video, guys. I am going to be doing the test hands for this deck. If you want to see like live duels or anything, just let me know. But yeah, if you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to use the link in the description down below. It helps the channel a lot. And make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and all that. And I'll see you guys next time. Thank you for watching.